Donald Trump starting to outline his tax plan, cuts for everyone, but some more than others.
We have to simplify our system. At a minimum, we have to simplify our system, and I would like to see a reduction in taxes, a reduction in all taxes, but especially corporate and especially for the middle class.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charles Payne in for Neil Cavuto. And Donald proposing lower tax rates targeting companies that create jobs in a middle class that spends lots of money. Love them or hate them, is this the right plan to get the economy back on track? Gary Kaltbaum says absolutely. Also here, Ben Stein, Jerry Willis, Adam Lashinsky, and Charlie Gasparino. All right, Gary, why do you love this one so much?
Well, look, it's a darn good start. Look, the middle class has been crushed with taxes, how much they have to spend just to file their taxes, the 75,000 pages of tax code. Something's got to be done. There are people in this country that work into the month of July just to pay their first dollar in. More money in people's pockets means more savings, more spendings, and a better economy. And as far as corporations, we're just not competitive enough because of how much they pay in tax.
Yeah, Jerry Willis, I guess we've got the second or highest corporate tax rate in the world. That's not working out for us.
39.1%. And that, to me, is where the money is. If you're going to do anything, cut corporate taxes, because that means there'll be more jobs, there'll be more better paying jobs. As you know, we have fewer people working in full-time jobs today than we did at the high point before the recession. So that, to me, is job number one.
No, I love that, too, because that it's diametrically opposed, opposite of what Hillary Clinton is saying.
Right.
We need to snatch the money from the corporate balance sheet, tax them more, get their income, and redistribute it in the way we want.
But when I listen to Donald Trump, who, once again, I really like and admire as a businessman, and then I listen to us, I'm wondering why we are being more specific than he is. I mean,
well, it's his plan.
No, but there is no plan, especially for the middle class. Especially corporate. I mean, that's not a plan. A plan is what Paul Ryan says, you know, a very detailed plan of closing loopholes and bringing down rates and things of that nature. This is not a plan. And that's one of the problems with Donald's policies, that, you know, you could kind of drive a Mack truck through them sideways.
Although we should say that Donald Trump is meeting with a whole lot of people. He promises within a couple of weeks he will narrow that down.
But you should know by now.
But he will narrow that down. And I think all candidates ultimately are going to come out with something more concrete. But Ben Stein, the broader strokes here are lower taxes. That's the theme, and I think that might be a winning theme.
Well, it might be a winning theme politically, although he's already doing incredibly well politically. But we have never seen any clear correlation of lower taxes with higher employment or higher corporate profits. Corporate profits, by the way, are already extremely good. The economy is extremely strong. In many, many parts of the country, there's a labor shortage. So I'm not quite sure what this would accomplish except adding to the federal deficit, which is already cruelly and dangerously large. So unless there's some specific in here that we don't know about that would have some magical effect, well, I don't see it. I can't see where the benefit of it comes in except as a political bribe.
I don't know, Ben. I know you go to Walmart a lot, man. Next time you're there, ask some of the people if their wages are down and they would like lower taxes.
They're not paying taxes. They're not paying taxes, Charles.
Well, all right.
That's true.
Median wages are still, let me tell you.
Hold on one second. Let's bring in Adam on this, because Adam, I think we got some kinship going on out there.
Well, I mean, I actually am going to amplify things that Ben and Charlie said. I mean, first of all, you have to look at the macro numbers. Unemployment is lower than it's been in years, and we're in a multi-year expansion. These are good things that you can't trivialize.
The slowest expansion in 75 years.
Fine. Okay, no argument.
Okay.
But to Charlie's point, Trump doesn't have a policy here. By the way, this is one of the least
Adam, what about the notion of lower taxes helping the economy, though? Do you disagree or agree with Ben?
I disagree in the sense that President Obama has focused his tax increases on higher wage earners, on the richest people in society, and
yeah, but he thinks a family of four making $200,000 a year in Long Island is rolling in the dough.
Okay,
remember he wanted his tax increases to $200,000.
Gary, I want to bring this back to Gary for a moment, but I will say to Adam. Adam's talking about the unemployment rate. We have to put that in proper perspective. With the participation rate, it's at a low. If you take out you add back the people that have quit the job market, it's double digits. So let's be clear about that, Gary.
Look, First off, there was this dude named Ronald Reagan that took 26 tax rates down to a few and the high tax rate from 78 down to 28, and it unlocked and unleashed the greatness of this country.
Amen
this
and amen.
country right next, let me finish. This country is being crushed by taxes, mandates, regulations, fines, fees, and you name it, and it has fed a bloated government. The last year of Bill Clinton's government, they spent $1.8 trillion. We're going to do almost $4 trillion this year. That's coming out of the economy and killing us.
Gary, the problem with just saying let's lower taxes, it is going to hurt the deficit. And here's the thing. You have to do it in the context of tax reform. You have to understand the notion of closing loopholes. I'm for a flatter tax. I think this economy is not doing as well as it should do. But if you just sit there and say let's lower taxes, I think you're just going to make a bad situation worse in terms of the deficit. We need tax reform. And this is my problem with Donald. He thinks it's easy. He thinks it's just, sit there and snap your fingers, take a couple of rates down, give the middle class a tax break, and everdy's going to be hunky-dory. It's not.
I think that's a very good point. And this is what I was trying to argue, Charlie.
Hold on one at a time, guys. Go ahead, Gary, finish your point.
Quickly, he's not saying anything particularly controversial.
Right.
I mean, tax reform is something that a lot of people would like. Lowering corporate taxes while, doing something with repatriating foreign earnings. These are subjects we've been discussing for years.
We have been discussing them, Adam, but we've gotten nowhere with them. If they're so easy to do, if they're no big deal, why? Okay,
Gary, say it was easy. That's my point.
In its simplest form, if 2% measly growth that we have right now goes up to 4%, the deficits will come down and government will have plenty to spend.
Yeah, but Gary, you're not going to get that just by saying let's do a middle-class tax cut. You need tax reform.
I'm not saying that, but there's a lot of things that can be done. Starting with 75,000 pages of tax code, that would be nice also. I'm with you.
Right. Ben, sorry, let me go back out to Ben. Ben, you're the historian here. You're very accomplished and you know these things inside and out. But Gary just brought up some pretty good points. It felt like when Ronald Reagan, maybe it was anecdotal, maybe it was a coincidence, but when Ronald Reagan started to cut those taxes, it was a new morning in America. We did come to life after those miserable years. And even Bill Clinton was smart enough to go to the middle and do some things like welfare reform, lower taxes, and those are great periods for our economy.
Yeah, and there was this dude named Franklin Delano Roosevelt who greatly raised taxes, and we had the largest growth in productivity and personal income that we've ever had.
Well, we had a world war
called the post hoc. Well, that's right, and a lot of deficit spending. We've got a lot of deficit spending now too. Well, the question is, do we want more deficit spending or do we want to cut taxes? We're stimulating the economy like crazy with deficit spending right now. And by the way, let me get to that 75,000 tax code pages. The ordinary citizen deals with maybe 7 pages of tax code. So 75,000 pages affect very few people indeed.
But Ben, what do you think of tax reform?
I just don't think the correlation has ever been made between. I don't think the correlation has ever been made between cutting middle-class taxes and national growth.
Ben, what do you think about tax reform?
The Reagan thing was coming.
We can debate whether Reagan caused it or the military buildup caused it.
Well, we know that the World War II took us out of the Great Depression.
We're coming off a tremendous recession. When Reagan cut taxes, we were coming off a tremendous recession, and we had very, very good monetary policy. The real credit
that made the recession even worse
goes to Paul Volcker.
But it made the recession
worse.
1 second.
They made the recession worse because he cut the inflation. Cut the inflation.
My point is this: we're never going to agree on whether Reagan's tax cuts or the military buildup or the fact that we were just in an economic cycle caused the great '80s boom. My point to you is this: do you think that there should be significant tax reform? You're an economist. Do you think we should be plugging those loopholes and lowering those rates? Because everybody I talk to, a lot of business people say it's going to make them hire more.
I think we're already in a situation where businesses cannot find qualified workers. So I'm not quite sure what you would cut to get more qualified workers.
I know you're talking about the whole STEM thing and even the middle stuff. And we can't get truck drivers because they can't pass the drug test. But I want to go out to you, Adam. I'll give you the last word on this. Here's the thing, though. To Charlie's point, businesses have been crying. We do have the highest taxes out there. We can't repatriate money. And the average person watching this show who does shop at Walmart and does pay taxes would like some relief.
I would be very interested in a candidate talking about comprehensive tax reform. That's absolutely
But we heard that term
do.
so many times.
Donald Trump isn't
tax
one of them.
reform. What does it mean? At least he's saying something. We know the direction.
What does it mean?
It does
No,
mean
he's
well,
not.
I don't know.
All he's
You want to know
saying
what it
is
means?
lower taxes.
Talk to Paul
You know
Ryan.
what? Yes, I would like to pay lower taxes, Charles. If you give me that one choice, would I like to pay lower taxes? Yes. But it's not that simple. We need leadership, not
Good answer.
slogans.
You know,
This is a slogan.
if someone
That's it.
said, what does tax reform mean? Talk to Paul Ryan, talk to Erskine Bowles, talk to
I agree with
former
Charlie
Senator
here.
Simpson. They provided tax reform, and it was rejected by President Obama.
All right. Well, we know one thing too. The American public
Comparing
like
those
it.
guys with Trump is a joke.
Well,
Comparing those guys with Trump is a joke.
Ben, I said the same thing.
Let's leave it right. Hey, one thing though,
I
Trump,
agree. You're
the
right.
Trump
You're
steamroller
right. You're
continues to go on, and he's adding more and more layers to it. So we'll see more. By the way, folks still outraged over those Planned Parenthood videos, planning hundreds of protests today, and now the embattled group is fighting back with its own controversial videos.
Today on Forbes on Fox, letting Iran inspect its own suspected nuclear weapon site. It sounds crazy, but it's said to be in the overall deal. Is this another reason to end the deal? Plus, a family making $500,000 a year and getting subsidized housing. Only in America. We'll see you at the top of the hour.